All right, welcome in. It is Wednesday. It's time for Total Bases. You can see my made bed in the background. I'm still on my way home from the Final Four, where I was in Indianapolis pretty much all week last week. Had to break the drive up because I was exhausted. But just so the made bed is in the background. It's the best I could do. This room's a little smaller than the one I had in Indy all week. So, but nonetheless, we are here to talk baseball for the next 45 minutes. And I'm going to get right into it. We're going to go to prime time. We've got A's, Yankees, Tokyo. Brandon, I'm going to go to you first. Yesterday, you said the Yankees was the, kind of the no-brainer parlay leg. I agreed with you. They made us sweat that a little bit longer than I think they probably, we probably would have liked. But in the end, the Yankees break through in the eighth inning and they get there with a win. And I believe they would have won by margin. I think they got there over the -1.5. We had the run or the money line in our parlay, which fell short. But I want to go back to you for this one today. A's Yankees. This is national TV. Believe this is the Amazon Prime game. If you have Amazon Prime here in the States, Severino, Will Warren. Are you back on the Yankees today?
So yesterday, my big play was actually my big client play 4%er was the Orioles. So I was pretty happy with that. They came through. I mean, their starter, was it Trevor Rogers? Yeah, I mean, that was a no-brainer to me. Seemed like a no-brainer. But yeah, I went 3-1 yesterday, including the Yankees. So that was good. So let's talk about the Yankees today. On my Twitter, I have already put out the pitcher and hitter OPS matchups for the day. And this game has a big discrepancy in it between Will Warren and Beefarino. So Severino, 65 at bats against these guys. He's got a 963 OPS, not very good, not disgusting, but it's not good. Will Warren, 443 OPS, but it's only 27 at bats against these guys. Will Warren has a huge advantage here, in my opinion. And the bullpen, I got the A's bullpen ranked 29, where I got the Yankees bullpen ranked 11. So big advantage there. The one area where the A's actually are better than the Yankees, in my opinion, or at least in current form, is hitting. A's are hitting a little bit better than Yankees right now, but it's negligible. I mean, one's ranked 9 and one's ranked 11. So, I think at home, Yankees are just such a good team. I think the A's only have one road victory so far. I think they're 1-7 or 1-6, whatever. I would not back Severino in this spot. And Will Warren's been pitching pretty well. Somewhat mediocre, but I mean, anything's better than Severino in my opinion. So yeah, I'd back the Yankees here with no hesitation.
Bryan Leonard, I want to bring you in here. I saw some value in the Yankees yesterday with the way that's set up. I don't see the same sort of value here. I think this is a far better matchup for the A's. Now, you got to ask yourself, you got to deal with the bullpen. Something we've talked about all year. You got to still wonder if Severino is going to come down from the great World Baseball Classic that he had. But the A's do have the bats. They're up there hacking a lot of times. But when they make contact, they can hit. You talked about Nick Kurtz yesterday, sort of being the engine that gets that lineup going. So A's Yankees, is there any value with the visitors here?
I don't know. I think the line's about where it should be. Will Warren's a guy that has always had the talent. He just hasn't been able to control it. But his numbers this year are from a base standpoint, meaning the pitch shape, the velocity, that kind of thing. He's got some great numbers. Severino has had good, in fact, excellent numbers thus far. In fact, he's, as you kind of touched on, he brought the World Baseball Classic. I thought he was going, once he got into the major leagues, I thought that was going to fall off, but he's a confident pitcher again. And that's something, we don't talk a lot about that, but if a pitcher's confident going into a start, that's to get him in this price range is pretty good, because he's had a pretty good career. He just really struggles pitching in that really good hitter's ballpark in Sacramento. But yeah, it's a couple of right-handers going today. The total's 8.5. We're seeing about a 200, 210 for Warren. I think the Yankees win, but I don't want to. if you're going to give me a list of pitchers that I trust laying $2 for the Yankees, Warren's not there yet. So, yeah, the Yankees will probably win. They're the better team playing at home. They've been excellent at home ever since they built the stadium. So, and the A's have not been the greatest road team, but still, I can't bring myself to lay $2 with Warren.
Yeah, I can't either. I can't really bring myself to back Severino right now either. I mean, the 5 walks last time out against the Braves. I think Tokyo Brandon made the point that some of these guys in the World Baseball Classic might be fades. He obviously had the big moment in the WBC, had a big sort of high profile start. Since then, to start the season, the big concern: 8 walks in 8 innings, eight and a third so far. That would be a concern for me. Hasn't even had to pitch in Sacramento yet. Of course, last year you go back and the home road splits were kind of horrific for him. So they've kept him on the road so far. But he's a guy that, like, I feel like he likes this spot, this like going in the Yankee Stadium. I think he's been guilty of, like, for example, the Sacramento thing. Yeah, like the ball flies out of there. I just don't think he likes pitching there because it feels like a minor league baseball stadium. So now you put him in the Bronx, former team, prime time. Maybe you get prime time Severino here, but just not sure I can bet on that. Go ahead, Brian.
When he went to when the A's signed him as a free agent, he signed the contract, had no problem. He knew what was going to happen, and then he complained about it. Like, as soon as it started, he goes, "How is anybody going to be able to pitch in the?" So he had something in his head already, that the failure in his head already, and it's happened that way for him. So yeah, I agree. On the road, he's a capable pitcher, but at home, let's wait and see. Let's see what happens this year after he's been there a year and he knows a little bit more about it this season.
All right, Tokyo Brandon, over to you. I guess part 2 of what I consider the feature games today on the slate. And let's head back north of the border. Dodgers, Blue Jays. I feel like, we kind of nailed this series to this point. The Blue Jays continue to struggle. If you, were with us right off the bat this season, when Cody Ponce went down, I said, the injuries are really starting to pile up for this Jays team, and they could be a short-term fade. And I don't know that they've won a game since I said that. I'm pulling it up. I think they've lost 6 straight games. I'm just counting them up. 6 straight losses since, I said, hey, this team might be a short-term fade. With that being said, at some point, because here's what I want to clarify. Short-term fade does not mean they're a bad baseball team. And I don't think the Blue Jays are a bad baseball team. I think they're dealing with cluster injuries right now. So I will be looking to buy back in with them at some point. Just not sure that it's here. I'm curious to see what you think. This is Ohtani Cease, and this is a day game, 3:07 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I made a free play video for this one on WagerTalk's YouTube channel. Probably not up there yet, so I'll just break down for you. Cease is a really good pitcher. He's a guy that I want to back this season. His walk rate way down, good control, good command, and he's off to a good start. And he's a guy that I really like. But against these Dodgers, if don't mean to sound like a broken record, but check the OPS rankings on my site or on my Twitter. Cease is ranked number 8 out of all the starting pitchers today with a 685 OPS in 133 at bats against the Dodgers. So he has been able to keep them down a little bit. 750 is my Mendoza line, so he's under that. But I found a good bet in this game that I really like. And it's the first 5 inning team total for the Dodgers. It's only 1.5. And I'm like, are you crazy? This team could put up 9 runs in any inning on any pitcher. I mean, they lost Mookie Betts. Did you see Kim? He stood up. He went out there. I mean, these guys are getting production from 7, 8, 9. That's if the Dodgers are getting production from 7, 8, 9, and their big names are not even clicking yet. This team is scary. So I think over 1.5 in the first 5 innings is a great bet. It was minus 145 or something like that. So I'll probably use it for my parlay leg if I'm allowed. But I think that's a great bet there. Regarding the side, Otani's been a little shaky, actually. Not really the dominant pitcher that he can be. I don't know if we're going to see Jekyll or Hyde today. There's a myth that Otani doesn't hit well when he pitches, but that's actually not true. I did a little research. He actually hits quite well on days that he pitches, which I was quite surprised to see. But he's been kind of Jekyll and Hyde. I don't really know. I mean, he could go out there and give up an 8-burger, or he could go out there and dominate for 16. I don't know what we're going to see from Otani. I'll bet on the Dodger bats.
Bryan, I want to bring this point up here and then throw this to you. Because we have the comment in the chat says the Blue Jays might be one of the worst teams in baseball this year.
No.
Now, I agree with that. I disagree with that. I just want to say I disagree with that. But again, I will put, and this goes back to, you got to take your son. We've watched a lot of baseball to this point, but it's April 8th. Right now, have they been really bad? Yes. But they've also lost the equivalent of a starting 5 for some other team. I mean, they have 5 starting pitchers on the IL right now. That would be the starting rotation for like half the league, right? And then you talk about Kirk going down. They had some other injuries. I think Santander was another guy that kind of went down in the spring. Like, here's my thing. Like, this Blue Jays team is going to be fine, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to be. I mean, I fully expect them to still be in the mix in the American League to be one of the better teams in this league. But again, so what I'm personally trying to do is figure out when I can start betting them. Our guy Patrick Corbin, I believe, was added to the roster the other day for some reinforcements. He was down in single A with them, and I think they're going to add him as early as today. I know, I talked. Yeah, I know. I talked about at the, that Toronto doesn't have much in the pipeline. But Eloy Jimenez is down at AAA. He's hitting the ball well. Again, maybe you catch lightning in the bottle right there in a short term. But the other thing too, I think, and this is what I want you to talk about, they have the tough series in Chicago, and they turn right around and have to play the Dodgers. Like, that's tough, right? Like, you have your struggles, and then you come home. Can you get right? Well, probably not against the best team in baseball. I think that's what Tokyo Brandon was alluding to a little bit. Twins come up this weekend. So for me, I'm looking in the future, but Blue Jays plus 1.5 is sitting there at minus 110. I don't know. Do you see value on the home team today?
Well, first of all, the Otani, when he pitches, I disagree with Brandon. I've seen the numbers. We'll talk about it off air or something down the road, but he's not the same pitcher, or he's not the same hitter when he pitches. But he's a very good pitcher. I think he's pitched very, very well this year. We talked about this last time he was on the mound, that his goal is to win the Cy Young, which means he's going to go later in games. He wants to stay later. He's got to go more than 6 innings. I give him a 5.2 innings for today, because Toronto they haven't shown it, but they do have a good hitting team. I love Dylan Cease. I think he's going to have success here. And as Brandon pointed out, he played in San Diego, so he knows this team very well. But San Diego is a good pitcher's ballpark. This one is more of a hitter's ballpark. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, you have sometimes in baseball, streaks can turn on on a dime. And if Toronto comes out and takes an early lead in this game, hey, it may turn around their streak. I would rather much be playing a team that's not playing well, like a Boston or a Toronto, that have the players, than some other teams that just are not very good because they didn't have high expectations. This is early in the season. Toronto went to the World Series last year. I'm going to Toronto in a couple of weeks. The hotel prices are outrageous because everybody's so excited about Toronto. If you're a Blue Jays fan, settle down a little bit. It's still early. If there's value here, I think it is on Toronto with Cease, but I would only do it in the first 5 because, as you mentioned, the Blue Jays have had a lot of injuries. They're starting catcher is out right now. He's the play caller for this team. He's the pitch caller. That's going to affect him a little bit. Their bullpen is still struggling a little bit. But in the first 5, if I could catch a decent price on Toronto, that's not a bad bet.
Can I make a quick comment?
Go ahead, TB.
In 2023, Ohtani hit 300 with a 1,066 OPS on days he pitched. I don't have the stats for 2024 to now, but it's pretty good.
What's that compared to the days he didn't pitch?
I don't think he hit 300 on days he didn't pitch.
I believe when you go back, I believe he was over a 300 hitter on the season. If I off the top of my head,
perhaps.
But the betting means nothing. I mean, that's one of the most overused. That's like ERA and pitchers. So,
okay.
Yeah, but
you can agree or disagree.
Agree to disagree. We do it all the time. That's the good part about this show. But stats are stats. So people do your own research on that. But
I don't think, and again, like I think we would all probably agree, like the value in this spot from a side perspective would be on the Blue Jays. You just have to ask yourself if that is, if the time is now or not. I kind of with you, Brian, the only way I could play this would be to take the 1.5 with the Blue Jays. I think kind of, at minus 110, minus 105, minus 110, I feel like that's reasonable value to get the extra half run. 2 good pitchers on the mound. You're looking at a total of some places at 7, right? So it's like, I do think there's a possibility that either way, it's a close game. And then if you've got the 1.5 and you're only paying minus 110, minus 105 for it, more we talk about it, more I start to like Blue Jays plus 1.5. I don't know if I'll get there, but that is the way I'm looking. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I mentioned the first half. If you're looking to play Toronto in the first half, you're getting about 30 cents less. So the lines maker knows it. Is it worth it? If you're playing first 5 as opposed to the full game, the Dodgers bullpen is better than Toronto, no doubt about it. But is it 30 cents better? I don't know.
Well, Brian, you alluded to potentially, teams that have talent that are often really bad starts and maybe wanting to target these teams. So let's talk about another one of those teams. The Boston Red Sox are off to the worst start in the history of the franchise, which has been around pretty much longer than any of the other franchises. So that's quite a infamous start to the season for this Boston Red Sox team. Yet you pull up your sports book today and go to bet them, and you still have to lay a little juice to back them here at Fenway, on their home field against what I think is going to be maybe a Shane Drohan opener. I don't know how long they're going to let him go. He was actually a star for a while. He was a starter in the Red Sox organization, came over. I'm guessing maybe like for pre I don't remember what trade he was in or how he ended up in Milwaukee. But I know that was in the last year or so. This could be a couple innings from him, maybe 1 inning, and then go to the bullpen. But are you said Red Sox, that might be a team you're willing to buy in with at minus 125, minus 130. I don't know. Is that still too steep for you to buy in when the Red Sox have not done anything to this point?
Not really. I think they have a pretty good starting edge here. And the number's cheap. Problem is, Boston's got, their 8th inning guy is probably not going to pitch today. Slayton is on the injury list now. He's a nice bullpen arm here. And you got Milwaukee yesterday, really, other than DL Hall, who is looking really good as a reliever, by the way. He was supposed to have been one of the starters of the future for Milwaukee, but he's looked really good. He threw 39 pitches yesterday. Everybody else will be available for Milwaukee, so their bullpen's in better shape. In fact, Miguel and Uribe have not pitched the last 2 days. So the Milwaukee's got a big bullpen edge here, I believe, but I think Boston has the starting pitcher edge. So the only way I would look at it if I wanted Boston would be something in the first 5. The game number right now, we're looking at basically 130 for Boston. Let's see what we get in the first half. First half number, it's about 140, 145. So you're paying a little bit more. But if I'm on Boston, it's probably the first 5. It's another team. When you get these big market teams in New York, LA, Boston, that kind of thing, Chicago, if the team gets off to a bad start, and Toronto's obviously the biggest market in Canada, you get a lot of pressure on you. You don't get that in Tokyo Brandon's always making fun of my Cleveland roots. You don't get that in Cleveland. You don't get that in Pittsburgh. Milwaukee, I wouldn't think you would get that in. So there's a lot of pressure on these Boston players, and that does not sound like something I want to bet on. And at this point, because who knows how long Drone's going to pitch, and Milwaukee's bullpen's in much better shape. So I'll pass on this one at this point.
TB, I want to come to you for this one.
Yep.
You've been a known Boston hater over the last couple of days. So correct. Honestly, though, you've been correct in your assessment so far. You basically said that a week ago, and I sort of was like, nah, it can't be this bad. And I woke up to Instagram post of, people on the streets near Fenway calling for the team to be sold. There was a whole reel of them. So, it's not great in Boston right now. I will point out, so I do think Drohan gets the benefit of maybe I think this might be like a once through the order type thing. See how he's doing. This will be his major league debut. So that's what I was checking on a second ago. It is going to be his debut. He's been at AAA for a while now. Could be a piggyback situation where they go Drohan to Chad Patrick. No game tomorrow for the Brewers. It's not the worst pitching setup for the Brewers right here. I'm not saying I love the Brewers in this scenario, but it's not the worst pitching setup. So talk to me, Brewers plus money. Do you have any interest?
So I've said on many shows before, by the way, get our double play package, guys. You can get two of us for a really sweet deal. Pick two of us, and we're all doing pretty well, I think. So it's a good deal. I have 3 4% plays out today in Major League Baseball. So those would be included if you get a double play. So I don't like to bet on X factors, and obviously one of the pitchers is an X factor. We don't know how long he's going to be there. We don't know how well he's going to perform. So I tend to go to the other side. Sonny Gray's numbers against these batters, pretty average. But Milwaukee's been slamming the ball lately. I've been making really good money betting the Brewers team total in the first 5 innings. They're not known to be an offensive team up to now, but this season I got them ranked 6th in MLB in current form. And they have been cashing over 1.5 in the first 5 innings, like an ATM. So I'll go back to that. It's only minus 104 for the Brewers, over 1.5 in the first 5. They've been cashing this regularly. Probably not every game, but I would be willing to say they've probably missed that mark maybe twice this season. So Brewers over would be the only way I would go, and I would just avoid the X factor altogether.
TB, I like where your head's at for a couple of reasons here. One, that team just has good at-bats. This goes back to last year. They might not jump off the page being this like super high-powered offense, but they have great at-bats 1 through 9. And when they get on base, they run the bases extremely well. They steal bases. They are putting constant pressure on the opposing pitcher. It's why, I misspoke when we were talking about the National League yesterday. And I said, well, we're the teams that are sort of playing for second, just that's a figure of speech. I don't think anyone is just playing for second right now. But if we're all so high on the Dodgers, the Brewers to me are the clear second team right now. They're the second best team in the National League. And they're the team that I think I just misspoke yesterday when I was talking about the Mets. That's the team that should be, in your number 2, sort of in your power rankings right now. And then the final thing, just to make your point, TB, they've got exposure against Sonny Gray. They've seen him a ton. He was in the NL Central, last year, and they probably have some pretty good. I'm just speaking off of, without having the numbers in front of me. They probably have some decent exposure to Gray over the years. So
128 at bats against these guys.
Yeah. So I could not talk you off of that play. I think that's a good look. Bryan, I'm going to come to you for this one. I took a loss. My 6-game bases win streak was snapped last night, and I'm still pissed about it. I was on the Seattle Mariners. I had a leadoff home run. George Kirby is cruising right along. runs into one bad inning. He goes 8 innings. And then I'm sitting there in the ninth, first and second, no outs. And you couldn't have had 3 worse at-bats to end the game. The Mariners lose 3-2. And that was a really disappointing sort of way to cough up the 6-game win streak I was on. But also, I think the Mariners, so this is a team that I had power rated 1 in the American League coming into the season. I'm over here speaking about not overreacting. I'm starting to overreact, I think, a little bit after that game yesterday because the Mariners have straight up not hit. It cost them last night in a game where they had first and second, no outs in the 9th inning, couldn't even get a guy over to third. They come back today with Bryan Wu on the mound, someone we all love. But Mackenzie Gore is a great option for the Rangers, and this is another tough game for the Mariners. So how are you seeing this one, Mariners-Rangers?
I don't know what you're complaining about. My 4% was on the under in that game. I love the finish of that one. You
didn't want extras. You didn't want
extras playing the under. I thought I got screwed because I also had a small play on the first 5 under, and they screwed that up in the bottom of the end. But anyway, the Mariners right now are the most unlucky team in Major League Baseball. They're expected to have 7.3 wins. They've only had 4. And it's not really the hitting for Seattle. It's been the bullpen. This bullpen for Seattle is one of the best in Major League Baseball, and they really haven't put it together yet. But I like Seattle here. I've talked about Seattle and Texas are 2 stadiums, ballparks, whatever you want to call it, in which really favors the pitchers. So there's not going to be many runs here. It's set at 7.5 again today. Gore is a guy who usually starts the season very well and fades as it goes along. Bryan Wu is a guy that we love. I think he may be one of the best overall pitchers in Major League Baseball. He's had some injury problems, but he's clearly in the top 10, and he's becoming the ace of this team. We've seen some struggles out of Gilbert. Kirby pitched very well yesterday, and good for him. Hopefully he has a healthy season here, but I look for a way to play Bryan Wu if I can get a decent number. I think this is a decent number here against Gore. From a batting standpoint, I prefer the Seattle hitters on the road more than I like the Texas hitters at home, but it is like I said, it's a good situation for pitching in this stadium. And I think the Seattle bullpen is much better than what we have seen in the past. Texas right now is using people to close that we didn't even think would be taking a late inning pitch. It's a late inning run for these Texas Rangers. So I like Seattle here. I think this is a bargain price. I like Bryan Wu much better than Gore. Gore coming over to a new league. I talked about pitchers going to new teams, and the Milwaukee pitcher didn't pitch as well yesterday. So I'm looking for Seattle. I don't know if this is going to be my best bet on the show, but I'm very interested in Seattle here. And to me, if you get this situation before the season starts, Wu's probably a 140, 145 favorite. So I like Seattle in this one.
Yeah, Brian, you know I'm stubborn, so you know I like them too. I'm just the only way I could personally play it after being on the Mariners last night and having them rated where I did would be Mariners here. We'll bring in Tokyo Brandon. He is constantly posting his pitcher outs and some of his different prop stuffs to Twitter. So make sure you're following him on Twitter for that information. These two have to be lighting up your sheet today. Wu and Gore. So anything with either of the pitchers in this game?
Yeah. If you go look at my OPS matchups for the day, Mackenzie Gore is number 1 out of all. He's got the best matchup of any pitcher out there. He's got a 420 OPS against these batters and in 47 something at bats. First 5 innings, 4.5 at minus 135. Are you kidding me? You think these teams are going to score 5 runs against Wu and Gore in 5 innings? I don't. I think at least one of the innings will be a 0. Let them score in every other inning. That's fine. I think the under would be a good way to go here. I'd take Seattle's under, but Seattle's one of those quirky teams for me. They always go the wrong way that I bet. So Seattle, I can never get their games right for some reason. Maybe they're zigging when I'm zagging, or yinging when I'm yanging, or whatever the phrase is. But that's a team that just always irks me. But I think an under in this game would definitely be it if you can get a 4 or 4.5 in the first 5. Forget the bullpens. Like Brian said, I don't think the bullpens are too reliable. So, well, Seattle's might be, but I don't know what to expect from Texas's. So, yeah, that's the way I would go for sure. Seattle team total under, or the first 5 under.
Well, before we move on, I'll just throw this. G Hurt has a question. He says, am I crazy for thinking Seattle's bats aren't that good? I don't think you're crazy for thinking that, but I think this goes back to, so 2 things. One, I wanted to just talk, you said the Seattle bullpen. I think the Mariners bullpen's really good, and Kirby saved them yesterday. They didn't have to use a single bullpen arm. Mm-hmm. Second, to answer your question, G Hurt, they're very reliant on the long ball, and they don't really string hits together. And that's exactly what happened in the 9th inning when they had 2 guys on and Dominic Canzone's trying to hit one to Fort Worth. It's like, just even if he just rolls one over right there and bounces it to the second baseman, stays out of the double play, like he puts his team in a situation to at least tie the game. So I don't really think it's like they're bad, but it's super, like they're so home run reliant that when you go cold, I suppose. Brian's nodding. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, this is one team that, because of the way they play at the home ballpark and playing in Texas in that same division, they should be playing more St. Louis Cardinals, old St. Louis Cardinals National League ball. They've got enough speed on this team. They should be running the bases. That should be a way for them to, because you're not going to get a lot of home runs in Seattle. You're not going to get a whole lot of home runs in this ballpark. They need, and they've got a lot of speed on this team. I don't understand why teams with a lot of speed, like the Brewers, do not take advantage of that in a really bad hitting environment. That comes down to management. That comes down to the coaching staff. So Seattle's got a lot of speed on that team. They should be running the bases more and playing more National League ball. When I say National League ball, I'm old. I remember back when they used to steal the bases, St. Louis Cardinals, Willie McGee, the whole thing back in those days. So that's what they need to do. Don't try for the home runs. If all it is long flyouts, move the base runners over. You need to teach that more in the minor leagues. And, I know we're in now, nobody cares about running sacrifice flies and doing all that other stuff, sacrifice bunts, because nobody wants to do it. And none of the batters, at the end of the year, they go, but I had 10 sacrifice bunts. You're not going to get paid more on your contract for that. Everybody wants to hit the home run. Not all the chicks love the long ball, let's just say.
Yeah, I am in a hotel, and the lighting is in the Ashtabula, Ohio, Hampton Inn and Suites is not great. So I've got this front-facing lighting on me. It does kind of look like I have a filter on. If I turn the other lights on, it kind of blurs it out. So I'm like staring into these 2 lights. I just like turned them down a little bit. So that is why I look like very illuminated right now. I noticed that when I was looking at the screen as well. Making my trek back from Indy, where I was all week for the Final Four, was fantastic. Highly recommend getting to a Final Four at some point. It's really like it's like one of probably the most fan-friendly big events I've ever been to. It was really cool. So Bryan Leonard, someone that knows a thing or two about cashing tickets, probably a thing or two about Ashtabula, Ohio. I don't think this is very far from Cleveland, although it could be anywhere at this point. My head is spinning, but come on in here, talk to me about what your best bet is for the show, and kick off our 3-team parlay. Let's see if we can hit one today.
All right. Well, it's pronounced Ashtabula, and I've lost respect for you for you're on the road by yourself and you made your bed. My wife would be proud of you.
Only because last time I did a show from the hotel, I didn't, and Kelly said something about it. That's the only reason.
I don't make my bed at home.
Of course, a woman says something.
Yeah. That's the first thing you got to do, and make sure your wife doesn't make you make the bed. All right. My best bet, I'm going to take a look. Speaking of Cleveland, I'm going to take a look at the early game. Reagan's against Cantillo, both the lefties. We're looking at Reagan's at about a 135 favorite. Well, excuse me, that was the first half. I was checking that first half line that TB was talking about. Okay, they're about a 125 favorite, a total of 7. Take a look, and I mentioned this the other day. Cole Reagans. Now, obviously, he only threw 70 innings last year. He had the injury, but his strikeout to walk ratio against righties, his strikeout rate minus walk ratio was 33.7. That's like twice what you consider a good pitcher. Lefties was about 16.7. So he's twice as good against righties as he is against lefties. But yet Cleveland is probably, I'm going to throw 2 lefties against him today. So he gets to face 7 righties, and he's been very good against righties. He's a guy, when he's healthy, he's a guy I want to back. I do like Joey Cantillo a little bit, but not in this situation. Kansas City yesterday loses that game 2-1. Again, they had a 1-0 lead on. And Cleveland's batters, we talked about how bad the Cleveland hitting is coming into the season, but they were saved by one guy. They were saved by the rookie in Chase Slaughter. Got off to that great start, hitting the home runs. Well, he didn't play yesterday against the lefty. He probably won't play today against the lefty. Even if he does, I don't really want any part of him. His at-bats are all or nothing, and I think he got a little bit lucky. I like him, but I'm selling on DeLauder at this point. So that leaves the rest of the team, and Mazzardo's not hitting at all. Hoskins has been terrible. Jose Ramirez has not gone off to a good start. And they now lost one of the guys that was actually hitting. That's Arias. They put him on the DL, and they brought up Juan Brito, who I actually like. I'm hoping he hits well so they can keep him up there, because I'm not a fan of Arias at all. And Brian Rocchio's out there. So this is a team without a lot of bats. Bo Naylor has them hitting. So you got a Cleveland team slumping, going against a dominant left-hander. I'm either playing the Cleveland under, I'm playing the game under, or I'm playing Kansas City. And to make it simple on this show, because a lot of people can't play a lot of the derivatives, I'm going to go with Kansas City minus. Let's go minus about 127. I can see it as low as 120 out there, but let's go minus 127 over Cleveland to win this game. It's a day game. Starts in about 4 hours, 3.5 hours or so. But I'm going to fade my home team and take Kansas City.
All right, Royals on the money line for Brian. Yeah, a lot of day games today, so most of this parlay is probably going to go during the day. I know my leg will, but I want to go to Tokyo. Brandon, I know you had one in mind earlier. Not sure, if you want to go with that one, great. If you want to throw something out there, the floor is yours, and also let them know what you've got at WagerTalk today.
I'm going to change my mind, which is probably going to be bad luck. But by the way, Brian, under in the game you just talked about, great. I got Cantillo ranked number 4 and Cole Reagans ranked number 5 as far as having likely to have a good day today. So I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I'm going to go first 5 under 4.5 with the Rangers Mariners, and it's minus 140 right now. Can't believe it. Seems crazy, but right now, actually, WagerTalk brought back my entire baseball season, MLB, KBO, and Japanese baseball for 50% off for the rest of the year. So you can find that at my page at WagerTalk. It was an early bird special, but people kept writing headquarters saying, "Can I get it? Can I get it?" So they brought it back till the end of the month. So you can grab that. But why don't you go with two of the 3 best knowledgeable guys on baseball? One of us 3. Adam, myself, or Brian, on a double play package as well. It all works.
Yeah, it's on everyone's page. It's the you pick 2, if you will. 2 cappers, and it's a great value. Over the course of 3 days, the per play value is going to be much lower by doing something like that than pretty much any other short term way to do it. The only better way to do it, in my opinion, would be like something like TB just talked about, where you're just doing the full season. That's probably the only other way you're going to get each individual play, the cost down significantly.
Right.
So take a look at all of those. Brian and I have full season packages up as well. I'm going to bring up, so Noah Jones in the chat says, I'm trying to show his comment here, and now we've got it. He says, still not convinced on the Pirates, even after last night's beatdown. And we're going to talk about this game, all three of us, but this is going to be my parlay leg, regardless of what the two guys say here. So I hope they agree with me. We'll see. I get what you're saying. I am convinced on the Pirates, but today I like the Padres. Okay. I think this is a better spot here for San Diego. I think, I guess my concern for the Pirates, even after they had the breakout last night in the 8th inning, is that the offense is still going to be a little hit or miss. And now when I look at this Pirates team over the course of 162 games, I see, man, if this pitching could stay healthy, the pitching is really what I like about this team. Where I think Noah, that you're not convinced, and where I think this team would get derailed as far as proving me right, if you will, because yesterday I said, hey, they're a 500 team, maybe better. I think the way that doesn't happen is if they don't hit. And that is to me, like when I look at the lineup, obviously Connor Griffin signs I think his deal is finalized, Brian, the 9 years, 140 million, generational talent. But I guess I can kind of see where this offense potentially would have their struggles. Go back to those first couple games, they weren't having great at bats. So the offense is a little hit or miss. When I look at this matchup, though, I see Michael King. I see a Padres bullpen that's mostly rested, and that is the strength of the Padres. I know Morjan got blown up last night, but outside of him, they're mostly rested. So early game, 12:35 first pitch. Keller is a guy that he's kind of like the one guy I'm sort of okay with playing against right now, that I don't think he's not Skeens, and he doesn't have the insane upside of a Bubba Chandler. So I think the Padres bounce back from yesterday here. I'm going to use the Padres on the money line in the parlay, but if you disagree, let me know. Hey, yesterday we disagreed and we all were right. The Diamondbacks got there in the first 5, and I think the Mets walked it off in the 10th inning. So interested to see you guys take on Pirates Padres. And I'll go to you first, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the line's about where it should be. Keep in mind that the Pirates closer has not pitched in the last 4 games or something. I'm not really sure this he's going to remain their closer. I've heard some rumors out there that they may be making a switch, but Dennis Santana has not pitched the last 3 days, and keep that in mind. He will be going today. I have to assume, unless he's got an injury, because Soto pitched the last 2 days and Madison pitched the last 2 days. So we will see Santana. I'm interested to see how they use him, and if he does come in to close, or if they just use him in the 7th or 8th inning just to make sure he gets some usage. And you're right about San Diego. That the one pitcher, one of their guys that has been terrific, got blew up yesterday, but you don't see that very often out of the San Diego team. From a talent standpoint, I think the teams are pretty even. But I do prefer the San Diego pitcher in this game.
TB, before we close it down, anything for you on Pirates Padres, the very first game on the board on Wednesday afternoon?
I'll make it very quick. I agree with Brian. Talent-wise, these teams look pretty neck and neck to me. I do like King a little more than Keller. Pirates obviously are an underdog. I was hoping when I looked at the line that I could get a +1.5 for a decent number, but it's -185, not a decent number. So I'll lay off. I wish the Pirates were more of underdogs, but it seems like the books are catching on. So I think the Pirates have the better current form as far as hitting is concerned, but I like King a little better than Mitch Keller. It's kind of a push for me.
Yeah, I'm not way off on the number here. I believe for me it was Padres -118. So I saw that -105 price, and it was it was intriguing to me. It's not something that I've bet yet for clients. I actually have not bet anything yet for clients, but this is one of the ways that I was looking on Wednesday's card. So we reached the end of the show. Remember, head on over to the WagerTalk site. Check out our pages for that great double play special. TV still has a season-long special up on his page. And again, like any of those combo long-term deals are going to be the way to go, especially in baseball. The season's so long. For me and for me, like the volume across AAA, KBO, and Major League Baseball, if that's something that interests you. TV's always doing the Asian leagues as well. If you're looking more just MLB specific, Bryan Leonard is just pretty much he is exclusively doing MLB in addition to, he's got the NHL playoffs around the corner. I'm sure he's excited about that. So if you're into hockey, check him out as well. The parlay today, we'll down a couple of units on the season, but we're right there. We're gonna be back in the plus today if we win this one, and it's all day games. So apologize to our employers for the lack of shelf life, but like every game is like during the day. That's just how they scheduled for Wednesday. So Brian's gonna go with Royals on the money line. I'm gonna go with the Padres on the money line. Minus 125 for the Royals, minus 105 for the Padres. Again, shop around. And Tokyo Brandon is going Rangers, Mariners, first 5, under 4.5. A trio of day games. That's the show for today. The three of us will be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, for more Total Bases. We'll see you guys then.